It does seem that he opened the door pretty wide open. Can he shut it after this?
He wouldn't shut it, but the data could shut it, I suppose, especially if we get some bad labor market data. And the data all start on Friday with the jobs report. But we get two jobs reports ahead before the next Fed meeting. We get two CPI readings ahead of the next meeting and one PCE inflation reading. So the Fed will have a lot more data, the totality of the data that he's talking about, to base their judgment on.
You asked Chair Powell about the way he looks at all of this and whether he sees this through the eyes of Americans who are paying the prices we're talking about, dealing with the interest rates, in some cases the lack of savings left over from COVID. Does he think of it that way?
Not in a job sense. And he sort of separated those two thoughts. Mm-hmm. Yes, high interest rates are a burden for Americans, but inflation was a worse burden. Now maybe that's starting to balance out, or the balance is tipping towards high rates. But he said our job is not to think about that. Our job is to just meet the mandate of low interest rates and maximum employment.
Mm-hmm. Next up, the jobs report. Friday.
The jobs report on Friday, and it could be interesting because we're only 1/10 of a percentage point on the unemployment rate away from the SOM rule, triggering the SOM rule, which posits that once inflation gets to unemployment gets to a certain level, then it goes up much faster. Mm-hmm. And if that were to happen, then that would scare the markets, and that might scare the Fed. And then the question is, are they reacting to bad data, or are they still on the path?
And a lot more references to the SOM rule. Bloomberg's Michael McKee, it's always great to have you in Washington. Thank you. As we turn to the race for president today, Donald Trump addressing the National Association of Black Journalists. This was in Chicago, happened this afternoon. And from the start, it was contentious.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network. You invited me under false pretense. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
As we absorb all of that, we bring in Bloomberg's Mario Parker, who helps to lead our political coverage here in Washington. Mario, I don't know if you want to take a moment to speak to the importance of this organization that the former president was talking to here, but this was an opportunity for him. Did he blow it?
Yes, I should say that I'm a member of that organization. I've been a long-time member ever since I got out of college. Mm-hmm. This was always a high-risk play by the president, right? Part of his former president, part of his strategy is to reach out to black voters by going to a convention of black journalists. The thought is that you get a direct microphone to those voters. There's no other way around it. When you see those type of comments, it went off the rails. It failed miserably in that strategy, questioning Vice President Kamala Harris's ethnicity is something that will both, from the diaspora standpoint, it kind of undercuts or undermines the diversity within the black community writ large. She went to the HBCU, so her claiming this identity, I mean, that's false there. But then separately, just from a political standpoint, this undermines that 2024 strategy to at least attract some of those black voters.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that the Trump campaign and the effort to spin this afterward, perhaps, is blaming liberal media for some of this. We've seen him attack ABC News specifically, where Rachel Scott, who asked him that opening question, obviously represents. But we're also seeing a number of people close to him saying, well, at least Trump had the guts to show up. Kamala Harris was not there today. What about that factor?
Right. That's part of it. That's not surprising. It's some of his closest allies, particularly some within the community, quite frankly, will come to his defense there. Again, as I mentioned, it was a risky strategy, but it was also a pretty brave one, right? To go into an audience that would normally be thought of as hostile. There had been some back and forth within the organization as to whether or not he should be on stage. There had been some back and forth as to whether or not how or when was Vice President Harris invited as well. It looks like there may be talks that she may join in September for some type of Q&A as well also.
The campaign statement, this is the Trump campaign statement, which is quite remarkable. Today's biased and rude treatment from certain hostile members of the media will backfire massively, it says. You would think the media would have learned something from their repeat episodes of fake outrage ever since President Trump first came down the escalator in 2015. It says some just refuse to get it. This will be their undoing in 2024. That was written by Lynn Patton, a senior advisor, an African-American woman. How do you respond to the campaign here, Mario? Is that enough?
Well, the way I would respond to the campaign, again, is essentially like there was this opportunity. Yes, it was a hostile, somewhat hostile environment. The questions, we know that former President Trump, if he doesn't like your questions, he will let you know that.
That's part of the job, isn't it?
That is part of the job. So, I mean, it went about, for us who have watched him in the media for a while, it went about how we would think it would, because they tried to hold him to account. You can see what the journalists were trying to do there. Again, I mean, given some of the past statements that he's made on the record about black voters in the past, right, during his first term, they were trying to hold him to account for that as he tries to, again, this political strategy to reach black voters.
I wonder if this makes a debate against Kamala Harris in September more likely or less likely. I guess time will have to tell on that one. Bloomberg's Mario Parker, thank you so much. Now moving overseas, Iran's supreme leader reportedly ordering an attack on Israel in response to the assassination of Hamas's political leader and an airstrike in Tehran overnight. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not mention the killing in an address earlier today, though he vowed Israel will exact a heavy price from any aggression against us. That's a quote. Joining us now for more is Iain Marlow, Bloomberg senior reporter covering foreign policy. So, Iain, of course, we have seen Iran try to hit Israel directly before this year in an airstrike that was largely averted with assistance and defense from U.S. and other allies. What is the U.S. expecting is about to go down here?
Yeah, I think it's been very clear that the U.S. and others have been calling for restraint here. I think publicly they're trying to keep on message that what's happening between Israel and Iran right now will not derail the ceasefire talks related to the Gaza conflict, but privately they're conceding that this is everything has just become a lot more difficult. The escalation, which everyone was thinking about in terms of Israel's northern border with Lebanon and Hezbollah there, everyone was watching that in terms of the escalation given the attack just the other night on the senior Hezbollah commander, and now we have another one with the chief negotiator for Hamas. So I think right now the U.S. is eyeing the potential for retaliation. I think in April we saw a pretty large-scale coordinated attack against Israel, but again, it was orchestrated in a way that analysts and observers were sort of saying was sort of destined almost to be intercepted, that it was something that was an Iranian show of force designed to sort of signal to their proxies in the region and people across the Middle East that they were sticking up for Hezbollah and for themselves without doing something that would push Israel over the edge into an all-out war. So I think the U.S. is still confident that everything is being managed, but we're now at probably the riskiest part we've been at since October 7th.
Well, that's saying a lot, Iain. We heard from the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, today, speaking to the escalating tensions earlier while in the Philippines, pledging to help defend Israel if necessary. Here's how he put it.
If Israel is attacked, we certainly will help defend Israel. You saw us do that in April. You can expect to see us do that again. But we don't want to see any of that happen. We're going to work hard to make sure that we're doing things to help take the temperature down.
Yeah, the New York Times also reporting that Iranian commanders are looking at targets that would avoid civilian casualties. Are we about to see a repeat of April?
It's a very good possibility that we're going to see something similar. It's to some degree, when Israel hit the Iranian diplomatic compound in Damascus back in April, that actually killed senior Iranian commanders. This is not an Iranian official. This was Hamas's top official. This is to some degree the point of proxies in Iran's view. It limits the damage to Iran proper. So I think we're probably going to see something, whether it's on the same scale as we saw in April, I think is probably the question.